See, had I known you were going to bring your own champagne,
Oh, well,
I would have brought a big mug. A big mug. All right, WBCN.
To the crew, actually.
Gentlemen, if I could trouble you to do some radio for a moment.
Oh, I remember.
All right, just a quick introduction. Nick Carter, 104.1 WBCN, Jonny and Thom of Radiohead. Help me say hello to them.
Ooh.
hello there.
All right, let me get the ass-kissing out of the way initially. Let me start by thanking you on the air for allowing us to broadcast the show tomorrow night, because for starters, very few bands will do that. And second of all, first night of the tour, I mean, that's...
It's going to be...
That's a confidence we rarely see, my son. We rarely see indeed.
it's not really confidence, that. Anyway.
What is it?
With brass face.
Stupid.
Yeah. All right, do me a favor, Thom. We're using the cheap mic, so get close to them.
That's not a cheap mic. Very old mic.
All right. It is. It's probably older than you are. It is.
Yes.
There's a very old mic.
That's good. There's not many things.
All right, well, let me start with an obvious question. The tour begins here in Boston, where you played your first American show back at the old Venus de Milo. You've worked at Fort Apache here on the first two records. You're starting your North American tour here. Do you feel some kinship with this city, or is this just sort of a matter of logistics? Am I overthinking this entirely?
It's one of the nicest cities to start a tour in, must be said.
No, why is that?
Because customs is nice when you come
Customs
in.
That's true. Bit more friendly in immigration. That's actually true. Yeah, than New York or anywhere.
Yeah.
And I don't know. We do seem to start a lot of our things here. It's true, isn't it? That's weird. I don't know. We just feel at home wandering around here. It's a little bit, European, dare I say?
Yeah. Well, it's. I mean, when it was initially set out, a lot of the people that a lot of the plans were based on London, and it's a very low city. So, I mean, a lot of people who come from European provinces feel comfortable here.
Yeah, it's not Cleveland,
Yeah.
So it's kind of
dig yourself a hole.
Yeah.
Get near to the mic, Tom.
You just cancelled your Cleveland
I
visa,
know.
my friend.
What can I do? I'm sorry.
Nice gig.
There'll be no holidays in Cleveland for you, my friend.
I know, that's all right.
No what?
I'll make it.
What's a hottie?
No holiday in
Oh,
Cleveland.
holiday.
Get your mind out of the gutter, son. All right. Let me dive right in, Thom. When I spoke with you in August of 2001, that was during the Kid A amnesiac thing, and you told me that whenever you picked up a guitar, I want to make sure I don't misquote you. You said whenever you picked up a guitar, your heart just dropped to the floor. You just weren't into it. So my question is, you were more into sequencing and sampling, sort of the analog stuff that Jonny was doing on synths and some of his guitar work. And I guess the point you were trying to get across at the time was it didn't matter what instruments you were using, as long as the five of you were using them, it's still Radiohead. So my question is, how did you rekindle your interest in the guitar this time around? Or did it just sort of become time?
How did I don't know. I think a lot of it was simply going out and playing live again, really. And also we deliberately had this thing where we were going to work very fast, and we did write a lot of the material quite quickly. But I'm actually playing probably more piano on this record than guitar, aren't I? Which is a joke, really, because I only know 3 tricks on the piano. That's okay.
Well,
Yeah.
You've also said in the past that you don't really know that many chords, but I mean, it all works
You
out.
can make them up.
It all works out. But that's interesting too. I remember you said a long time ago you don't know that many chords, but most of your songs have more chord changes than many bands, and they jump and dip and glide and that sort of thing. So
Yeah, I guess if you hammer away at something enough, it'll look like it was complicated. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
No.
It's kind of all quite simple what we do. I think it's just there's not that much repetition. Maybe the song's quite short at the moment. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I did buy one of them chord books as well.
Oh yeah. I gotcha.
I thought I'd better do that, really, before I die.
I've always believed that any art truly worth its salt inspires and lends itself to interpretation. When you encounter fans, does it disappoint or delight you when they want to know the exact meanings behind songs rather than, searching out their own meanings?
It doesn't really happen like that. I don't think. I I think there was a weird phase that we had with OK Computer, where I'm not quite sure why, but people sort of there was this sort of telephone.
Oh, that's it. Interview off. Get out.
Maybe it's important. Oh,
You're gonna answer it.
Johnny's cell phone just rang.
That's what you do when you're like, you know. Sorry, I'm not gonna say it.
What was the question?
I don't know.
Well, you know, when you encounter, you were talking about that was happening during the OK Computer phase.
Oh,
when,
yes.
When fans wanted.
It went a bit peculiar. It's less so now like that. I don't understand. I really still don't understand quite what was going on, really. But I don't really see that it's like that now. I think that people generally. I think that people generally speaking understand that it's it's simply just music, and there's no like. I'm not trying to. We're not trying to, or I'm not trying to flog some sort of lifestyle or statement or something through the music, or desperately attempting not to do that. I think the point is, if you get trapped into your own cast that you've made for yourself, then yes, you then get into trouble. But I don't really, because I don't believe any of the things that get written about as the stuff. I don't have that problem anymore, and also I don't read anything. So you cease to be.
Okay.
I'm not supposed to say that.
If you can avoid it, that would be nice.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because otherwise what happens is I have to hit this button and whole little clips of the conversation get cut out.
I'm sorry.
I know. I don't make the
That's
rules.
such a mild word. It's only an old.
It is.
No, then come on, Johnny. You must know
And
that.
the F word is a pretty, not so much a mild word, but it's so much a part of the lexicon of life.
Isn't it?
You know, and people freak out if they hear it, you know, outside of the context of real life. It's like, look, nothing's going to happen to you. But, you know, I have to play by the rules, unfortunately.
No, I know. It's bad to swear.
How's England treating you? I remember last time we spoke, at the time you were a little, you weren't particularly comfortable between both the cynicism and rock criticism, and at the time, Tony Blair, who at the time just seemed like he was killing himself just to be liked, just trying to get the love. And a month after we talked in August was the September 11th tragedy, and I can only imagine it's done nothing but worsen the cynicism in politics and in music over there. Are you comfortable?
Well, two separate questions though, isn't it? Politics and music. I don't know. What about British music? Johnny, you do the music bit, I'll do a little bit.
Oh, British music at the moment, British bands. Some,
or even not so much, even not so much specifically the bands, but I mean, I remember you had taken a little flack from the critics because they weren't, you know, they didn't receive Kid A and Amnesiac the way you would have hoped.
Yeah, it's funny that there was this idea that they were difficult records, and I think a lot of people listened to them for the first time with that in their heads, that it was going to be, and they're really not. You know, it's all, you know, repetitive melodic music that's, you know, a few minutes long each track. So with lyrics, I mean, they're songs. So
it ain't free jazz.
It's not exactly, but exactly. And to read some of the reviews, that's how it was perceived. So yeah, I don't know. I just think we went in a direction people didn't expect us to go down. And you know, and fair enough. People were a bit surprised, I think. But you know, I think a part of that is just a lot of people get into a certain kind of music and stick with it, and keep looking for records that sound like that, and that I think we suffered from that with some people.
You must feel it to some degree too, because of, you know, the mystique that's surrounded Radiohead of the past couple of years. You must get to the point where you're like, just get out of our faces, just let us get on with it and do it.
That's kind of why we were like, we're sort of not less like that this time, really. We actually sort of, it was quite funny, really. We're actually really trying to be nice, weren't we? We had a definite trying to be nice policy. It just, you know, whatever. Takes so much energy, you just can't be asked.
I was going to say, how's that working for you?
Well, I mean, it's working quite well, as you can.
Very good.
Yes.
All right, well, here's what happened. We opened the floor, the floodgates, if you will, to your fans, and we picked I picked three fans with specific questions, so they had the opportunity to ask one specific question. and they came in and got a chance to meet you and asked one specific question. You know what? Actually, you know what? I'm sorry. Let me start with, is Jason here? Jason didn't come here? All right. Well, let's start with Millie then. Wait, say hi to the boys, Millie.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, Millie.
Good afternoon.
Hi. Well, my question is, if you were given the choice to play a live concert using only utensils found in a kitchen, what would you each pick and what would you play?
Oh, man.
I call the soup ladle.
Can we use any computers? No, I guess we can't.
Electric utensils.
What are you going to, sample?
Electric utensils.
What are you going to sample, the toaster?
Oh, electric utensils.
That's floored me. Only because, they'd all be great, wouldn't they? So it's just narrowing down. Yeah, of course it would. I don't know.
I don't think a fridge would be that good.
Fridge, yeah, that would be great. A fridge.
Why would a fridge be good?
Listening closely, the kind of buzz of a fridge would be great.
You can open the door.
Yeah.
Shut it again.
Yeah, that sounds good. Like very quiet sounds, but listen to it for a long time. I think would be great.
And what will you guys play?
I'd do the cooker.
Yeah. Okay.
Gas cooker.
What song?
Oh.
What?
Crepe. Gloaming, maybe.
If you could see the look on Tom's face right now. Check, please, everybody out of the pool.
I'm sorry, I'm trying too hard. It's a very strange question and one we're failing to answer with any.
I'm trying to think of something that actually has any note in it in the kitchen.
Well, she's also just asked you to transpose your music into, like a toaster. So, it's a fair thing if you can't really come up with an answer that quickly.
Yeah. Not sure that, yeah. Probably have to make something up.
All right.
Yeah,
which would be awful.
All right. Well, fair enough. Surfwaxusa@juno.com wants to know Jonny. Hey, this is from the I just read them, I don't name them file. In reference to Jonny and his obsessions with kites, I'd like to ask, where in the world is the best place to fly a kite? So far that you've found.
That place, the Cowpats.
Yeah, probably Port Meadow in Oxford, which is this big meadow where Alice in Wonderland was set, and where supposedly the rabbit fell down the hole and all that happened. It's a very big meadow on the edge of Oxford.
And when he goes and flies his kite, you have to just.
There's loads.
You have to. Yeah. That's
around.
part of the deal, isn't it?
But it's great. It's an amazing place. Really beautiful. So that's where I'd go.
That really is an interesting question, isn't it?
Yeah. Fair enough.
All right, our second listener is Brian from Plymouth, Mass. Step up to the mic there, Brian.
Hello there.
Hi, guys. I was wondering if you would please discuss your relationship with Stanley Donwood and how and why his beautiful art represents your magnificent music so perfectly well.
Is he still hanging out in his own space in your studio?
Yeah, he was there painting a cow this morning. He's left now. He got commissioned to paint a cow, and he chose to delineate it the way that when you go into a butcher's and it explains how all the bits, and he's put all the companies that have got the franchises to rebuild a rack as the different. Anyway, shouldn't have said that. Never mind. Our relationship with Stanley Donwood goes like this. He comes in the studio when we're sort of getting it together, and he goes down the potting shed, and this is how it was in the last record, and then he comes back in at the end of every day, usually slightly worse for wear.
Tired and emotional.
And we sort of have to rig up this thing so he can listen to the music while we're doing it and things, and he's it's a weird thing. I went to college with him, so I've known him so long that when we have conversations about what's going on, they're sort of conversations that only take about 2 minutes, and that 2-minute conversation will then extend for the next 3 weeks worth of work, one way or another. So it was quite weird for me though for this record, because we worked so fast. I was not very involved in the artwork this time round. All the words were kind of done from a list that I had, but then the next thing I knew, he'd just done these paintings, and I'd been so busy I didn't really see it. It was a very strange feeling. Or you chaps went in there, you kept coming out going, wow, it's great, and I was going, okay, yeah, I'll get 5 minutes a minute to go down there, and then they never did. So it was towards the end of the record I actually started seeing it all. It was really exciting.
It's interesting when I hear the music, I sort of get pictures sometimes, and I just sort of imagine him as sort of like a mad character, just sort of like, ha-ha, just sort of like Eureka, screaming out these sort of like mad shouts in the middle of the work here and there.
I think it's much more about, we have sort of a series of things that we have discussed at some point or other, and then at some point they come up and it's the right thing to do, and it's not sort of like Eureka or anything like that, but it's suddenly something that's been kicking around for years will make sense, and it'll happen,
Because his first idea for the artwork for this record was erotic topiary, which he didn't do.
I was into that.
It was
topiary is
a bit obscure.
Topiary is cutting hedges. He wanted to commission some hedges to be cut, and that was going to be it.
And take photographs of them.
I was down with that.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good idea.
So I was absolutely wrong, and now feel like an ass. Thank you very much. All right, before I play some music, let me get in another listener question. This comes from Michael. Says, I'd like to know if the members of Radiohead, having been together for so long, have developed certain roles while they're together. Has one become the father figure? Is one the nurturer? Does one always seem to get into trouble? Is one really good with business ideas while the other is always clowning around, etc.?
We do have roles, but if we explain them, then it would just end up like a blooming soap opera. Yeah. Like your excellent soap operas that are on at lunchtime I was watching today. Sorry.
So Young and the Restless?
I don't know what they're called, but they all have extraordinary bodies.
Yes, all right. And you know what? There was one other question that Jason... look at this! Oh. Look at Mr. Day late and $1 short walking in.
It's all right, we're on time.
I didn't get an email confirmation or anything.
Jason, Radiohead. Jason. Way to go, Jonny. Nice one.
Sorry, Jason.
All right. Why don't you just rip off your question while you're here?
You don't have one?
It's
excellent.
Right here. Spontaneity is so much better when it's planned, is it not?
All right. So, this question to Thom. In an interview, you said that you want Radiohead to sound unrecognizable in the next couple of years or something like that.
Oh,
so I just wanted to know if any of your most recent songwriting has reflected that movement or anything like that.
Well, we had this thing when we were finishing this record where we all sort of felt like whatever we did next should be some sort of lurch off into the unknown. But I think I'm kind of a bit suspicious about that, you know what I mean? Because if you deliberately do that, it's like, A, you're being willful, and B, you're just reacting to what you've done before, which is fine, but it only lasts about a week, and then you got to do something else. And I know there's a bunch of things that we wanted to do on this record and we didn't do, like all the computer stuff.
Yeah.
And I found that incredibly frustrating, because I thought we were making one record, and then we actually made the total opposite, which was fine. I got my head around it. That was a bit too truthful, wasn't it?
No, it's fair enough, because it's like
Chris is like, oh no.
It's weird. It's just got to be. It's that balance between making records that sound like nothing you've heard before, which often isn't enough. You know, it's like you have to kind of make good music as well, or try to, and
a lot of the sort of we haven't heard it before thing comes from whatever you have heard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever you think is sort of cutting edge at the time, and the trouble with that is that new sounds and new sort of new techniques or whatever, because of the way the music business works, just gets stolen really fast, and any good idea just gets destroyed really quickly. So it's kind of it's a really difficult thing. If you deliberately set out to be different, then you're just going to sound the same, aren't you?
Well, it's almost as though the second something works, it no longer works.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, so where do you go from there?
Yes. And usually you don't know why it worked in the first place. So
Fair enough. All right, you know what? It's WBCN Boston. Thom and Jonny from Radiohead. I want to play something from Hail to the Thief. I was going to play Backdrips, but I'll play whatever you want.
Good.
You like that?
Yes.
All right. Didn't think you'd hear this on the radio, did you?
No.
Kind of makes you want to treat me.
Here.
Kind of makes you want to treat me with a little more respect now. Very nice. That's pretty dope. Boston's Alternative Rock, WBCN. One of my favorites from Hail to the Thief. Hey, when you get your own little radio show, you can play your favorite songs as well. You like that? Is that difficult to reproduce live? Are you at this point, are you all set with whatever you do in studio? You're perfectly capable of reproducing it live and happily.
It's yes. We do a version of it live. I mean, we don't do it with live drums. We sliced up all the drums and put them down so that Phil mixes all the rhythms in and out and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But and Jonny, you do all this nutty backward stuff on the guitar that's not on there. So it's just different, basically. We just invented something else to do with it, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about right.
It seems to me, a lot of bands talk about this idea, but you guys seem to live it. It seems like the second there's even like a sniff, a hint of repetition, you guys go insane, and it's like
I don't know
you have to go in another direction.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, I think that.
I mean, you know what I mean. I mean, it's not a criticism; it's just an observation. But
then the point is, you repeat yourself and you can't help it, just all the time anyway.
Yeah, I mean that's
you're trapped in your own head, full stop.
Because we're sort of, this is the only way we can play and make music, and so there'll be repetition coming from that. It's not like we can effortlessly switch and play perfect jazz or reggae or any other style of music. We can't. So this is all we can do, and so it will end up sounding the same.
Tell me this between the music and. I know you have an interest, Jonny, in film, and you've all done some film and Stanley's work with the art and whether it be computer stuff or illustrations. I mean, is Radiohead at this point more than a band? It's almost like an artist sort of collaborative collective, or am I just overthinking it entirely too much?
I've always wanted it to be like that, but it's kind of not. It's basically because I think in the process the last few years discovered that all the good energy that comes out of anything, like Stanley always says, comes from the fact that the music's, like Stanley gets his energy to do what he's doing from the music, and people who do the videos get that from without the music being there, there's kind of nothing going on really. Mm-hmm. So it's not a collective in that sense. It's everything's sort of responding to whatever good things are coming out of the speakers. Mm-hmm. That's it. So it ain't Andy Warhol. Still, I would love that.
Hey, I have 2 Andy Warhols. There'll be none of that. There'll be no dissing of Andy Warhol. No, I actually, I made a pilgrimage to Pittsburgh to see the Warhol Museum and his tombstone, and I realized there's really nothing in Pittsburgh besides Andy Warhol's tombstone. If you played there, you should know. All right, WBCN Boston. This is Thom Yorke and Jonny Greenwood of Radiohead. Many other questions off the internet regarding specifically the end of the Just video.
Ugh.
Now, no. The thread of commonality was, are you ever going to reveal what the guys are saying to each other in the end? But no, wait. Well, it got to the point where one girl actually emailed. She said, "Why can't people just accept the end of the Just video?" And then I got this email from John. He says, at the end of the video for Just, the subtitles are blurred out so we can't see what is being said between the man laying on the sidewalk and the man standing above him. Question, what are they saying to each other? Follow-up, because they are not likely to answer the first question, why would you put a sequence like that in one of your videos, knowing full well it would drive us fans crazy? Are you musical/video elitists of sorts?
Yes.
Very nice.
Next question.
Very good. Very good. And, I also wonder at this stage of the game, too, how you even develop a set list when you tour. And here's another question from Rebecca. She says, a question for Radiohead. How are set lists determined? Do you ever check out message boards to see what songs fans are hoping to hear? You recently played Creep in Japan. What prompted that decision?
No, I bet not.
Yeah, we do set lists. Anything up to like 2 or 3 hours before the show. Sometimes a bit. We think we're going to do tomorrow's set list tonight.
Yes.
So it's different all the time.
And Nightmare.
And Creep we played in Japan with like 5 minutes warning, we just decided to do it.
See, I
why,
mean,
why did we do it?
see, I'm a half-wit for not pre-reading this because I didn't want to bring up the C word, but...
No, it's
fine.
a good song. It's peculiar because it's like doing a cover.
Yeah.
I quite like the words now, you see. So, I quite like singing it. Don't!
You know, it's like the internet is now buzzing. Wait a minute, Thom likes Creep.
Requests from rock shows all over the country going, hey, he likes it now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but okay, you say it 2 hours before the show, but I mean, with such a vast wealth of material and such different feels and styles from album to album, is it, again, how do you even fashion a set list?
Well,
Is it just completely-
It's quite a difficult thing because we've been doing these. We're doing lots of festivals, so you end up like doing something that is sort of like a festival set. You know, it's a little bit like, and we kind of want to move things around, but it's really difficult. It's who knows. It's one of those things. We basically do it now. Where we whatever we wake up with that morning that we want to play, that's usually the right thing to play. And that can actually often be prompted by people sort of saying, why haven't you done that for ages, and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
That actually does help sometimes. So as long as it's not like Coke Babies or something incredibly obscure, which we simply cannot play.
Yeah, part of that is too. It's like I've seen a lot of bands that when they, have lived with a song for a long time, they decide to go back and do it. They're like, well, we have to go back and relearn this now.
Oh yeah.
Are there just songs in the repertoire that, like, if somebody yelled them out, you wouldn't know where to begin?
No, there's lots like that. And the crew might. There's ones that the crew might actually kill us if we suddenly end up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Here's a little more technical question from Greg.
more technical.
Greg from West Newbury. He says you've worked extensively with Nigel Godrich, who seems to be as much a part of Radiohead, almost like a sixth Radiohead, as much as George Martin was the fifth Beatle. Although you seem to have a great working relationship with Nigel, do you ever see yourselves working with another producer to develop your sound in different ways? And my own question is, in what you guys do, what role does the producer serve? Because a lot of bands, the producer's either like a hands-on sort of like, as you say, sixth member of the band, or maybe like an objective ear, or in some cases like a referee.
Well, he's someone whose opinion we trust, and we seek his opinion about things, which we don't with anybody else. So when we are recording, we definitely rely on him. I think he was working at his best as well with this record because he was being presented with songs that were finished rather than watching us rehearse and watching us, learn how to use equipment, which was part of the problem with Kite and Amnesiac, for him anyway, which was a headache for him. I mean, not to interrupt you, but during that time, did he help you shape the sounds? Like, I mean, if you were... he was kind of into it too.
If you were learning the instruments, and I mean, was he one of those guys who could say, all right, well, I think I see where you're going. Here's how you can get there.
Kind of. He was certainly enthusiastic. Yeah, and partly teaching as well. Yeah. He was just kind of there maybe, a few months early and we were driving crazy, but he stuck with us. All credit to him, really. He's been very patient.
Referee, definitely, sometimes.
Yeah, as well, yeah.
Yeah, because I can imagine at times with the different visions in the band, that studio must have looked like Beirut on a Saturday night from time to time.
At the beginning of Kid A, it was Beirut on a Saturday night.
Yeah, it's
frequently.
It's interesting when we start recording a song, and Thom and I have exactly opposite ideas of how it should end up sounding, and it can be weird,
I'd love to be a fly on the wall during those times, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's cool.
Good.
All right. I don't want to tire you out. I don't want to.
Have we done all the questions?
I don't want. Yeah, we did. I don't want to lapse into tedium. So, pick another song from "My Hail to the Thief." Pick one, Jonny.
Oh, okay.
Pick one, Jonny.
So why don't you play "Wolf from the Door"?
Yay!
Yeah. There you go. Good call. Good call. All right. And again, I cannot thank you enough, but I can thank you in French. Merci, merci, merci.
Nice.
For allowing us, for coming up, and more importantly, for allowing us to broadcast the show, because there are literally thousands and thousands and thousands of people who didn't get tickets because it sold out like that.
So is it broadcast live?
Yes.
So
can I swear?
I'm using...
Oh, I'd be disappointed if you didn't. 9 o'clock tomorrow night?
I just need to check.
Amazing.
I'd be disappointed if you didn't, lob the occasional F-bomb here and there.
You know what I mean? Vulgar. My mum hates it.
That's rock and roll.
Because I use like a radio on stage and tune into the local radio stations So will I get
Us.
kind of coming into it then?
Yeah.
Coming
Yeah.
back to
Oh, here's what
It's
you
all gonna be
do.
very weird.
Here's what you do. You'll tune in
it? Yeah.
us broadcasting you,
Yeah.
and I mean, if you can sample that,
It'll
because
just everyone's radio will feed
there'll
back
be so
everywhere.
much interference and just weirdness. That's
Why don't
it.
you just go?
We'll try it.
That's it.
What are you? 104.1.
One.
Cool. Okay.
And tomorrow morning in NME, Radiohead Strange New Direction.
Yeah.
We're tuning in on ourselves, man.
The new static
Dickensian, are
core.
they? Okay. Cool.
Which reminds me, have you? I mean, since you you kissed and made up with NME.
Did
and
we?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
We'll talk to anyone.
Wow.
Has-
I'll kiss anybody.
Has
I don't
the
even remember doing it.
has the détente held, or is it?
I don't know. I don't read it. I guess that's how it's held.
That pretty much is an answer to the question, is it not? We get along just fine as long as I don't read them. All right. Again, Boston and everyone here in the studio, please help me thank Thom Yorke and Jonny Greenwood of Radiohead.
Thank you.
You're very good men, and thank you so much for coming up to WBCN.
Thank you.
And this is another one from Hail to the Thief.
Thank you.
A wolf at the door. You want to drop one more? Just say it!
Thank
I
you.
just like the silence.